I want to be all in with everyone I work with.
We've had 6,000 plus coaches and experts and therapists go through the program. A lot of them made that switch from doing one-on-one to doing a group program. And I don't know anybody who ever switched back.
That was a night and day difference. When I spoke about the problem in the seriousness that it was, I actually started attracting a different group of folks. And because they have higher levels of commitment, they actually take the advice, we can actually get the results. I had also the margins to set up exactly what they need.
Hey, it's Russ Ruffino with another awesome video for you guys today. Today, we are going to interview one of our amazing, most successful seven-figure, probably soon to be eight-figure clients, Mr. Ezra, who is absolutely incredible. And guys, look, like every video on this channel, the purpose of it is to pull back the curtain and show you the lessons that we've learned from doing 9 figures in high ticket coaching sales and helping our clients build their own businesses that are giving them income and freedom and impact all at the same time. So if you're a coach, consultant, expert, author, speaker, therapist, anybody who makes a living from your wisdom or knowledge or expertise, you are absolutely in the right place to learn from the best of the best. Now, quick disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not saying you're going to make $1 bajillion. I'm not saying you're going to make 9 figures. I'm not saying you're going to make a dime. What I'm saying is that if you want to learn from the best, you're in the right place. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and dive in. Let's welcome our guest today, Ezra. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you here. So you are like one of our clients who's just absolutely crushing it. So why don't we just start out by talking about your offer and your target audience and the people that you work with?
Yeah, so the people I work with are business owners with ADHD. I'm one of them. It's a big group. And the specific thing I help them do is I help them eliminate the ADHD challenges that are sabotaging their business success. Sort of one place where when we work together at the end of it, we've gotten through all of those things once and for all.
I love that, man. I love that. So how long have you been doing this? How long have you been working with this particular market?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with people with ADHD for a number of years now, but primarily the work that I was doing before was working very on information type pieces of things. Like we would talk about ADHD in general. And so although I've had a long time in this market, I would say that sort of the changes I've made working with you in the last over the last year and a bit have really changed things, both in terms of my own results of the business, but also the results that clients are getting.
All right, so let's talk about that. Where were things at before we started working together? Like before you found clients on demand, sort of like what was the state of play?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few different offerings. So I did a lot of work in the past that was sort of one-on-one, sort of hourly, like we're going to kind of hang out, I'll chat about your problems, and then we work on those things. And sometimes the things I was finding when I was having a lot of those meetings, one was I was really, really busy. Two was I never got the sense that people were sort of like fully all in. And then one day, I actually had one of your former clients on, who was one of my clients, and he was speaking to me, and he said, "Hey, you're really good at this, and I want to work with you way more intensely, way more systematically, in a much more transformational way. How do we do it?" And I was like, "You can't, I guess." And then I realized in that moment that a lot of the work I've been doing was providing people with information. And so although I'd had success in sort of providing people with information, in my heart, I hated the idea that sort of like somebody was walking away just like knowing a lot about what was going on or knowing a lot about what could happen. And I realized that what this person was telling me, one of the people who was your former clients who really changed my direction, was, hold on, there are people out there who they don't want to work sort of like tinkering around the edges. They want to do it once, get through it, solve this particular problem where everyone's all in, because it's a real serious thing. And for me, saying that I had no way of working with them was kind of insane. It was insane because I'm not giving people the thing that they want, and it's insane because I literally was telling them, there is no way that that we can work together more intensively in a way that reflects the type of value that we could be delivering.
So you felt like I'm assuming you were charging a relatively low ticket price to work with you at that time?
Yeah, I was thinking about my time largely about sort of like it's just fee for time, face time,
Okay.
as opposed to what's the big outcome and how can we set people up to guarantee that outcome.
So you found clients on demand, and then the first thing we did was we put together your expertise into the high ticket coaching program that you're offering now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was key because although I really knew how to help the people that I work with. I'm really good at the thing that we do, and that now we have a larger team now that does that. The thing that occurred to me was, particularly when I looked at some of the other folks who've gone through and had success with the program and had similar results, as I was looking at them, and the thing that kind of occurred to me was, these folks aren't necessarily better than me in any way. I mean that in like the best way possible. Like if I looked at these people and I was like, oh my God, you are just like at levels above me. You have like 100 million followers and you have this and you have that and everything is slick and polished and everything else. I might thought of myself like, oh, I can't do that. But what I actually saw was like, okay, hold on. There is a system. And maybe the thing I need to do is I need to lean hard into the thing I'm really good at, which is like getting client results. And maybe the thing I should do is why don't I just follow a proven system by people who have already considered all of these things? I don't have to reinvent any of it. And that was absolutely the right thing to do.
That's awesome. So, all right. So, did you have like any reservations about switching from sort of the one-on-one, time for dollars model to doing an online group program? Because a lot of the people we work with are afraid that if they make that switch, they're like, it's gonna, a lot of the time they'll say, okay, well, I can see how I can make more money. Obviously, if you're selling a $5,000 or $10,000 coaching program, they're like, all right, I can see how I can make more money. I can see how I could have more freedom working with people in a group. But a lot of people that like our therapists are people that are really invested in this. They think, well, if I did that, then I wouldn't get the same level of results for my clients and for my patients. Did you have any of those reservations when you were making that switch?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was really worried about that. And the thing that sort of really changed me, one certainly was the meeting with a former client. But I also I started really thinking about some of the things you were saying and realizing, hold on, there's actually this whole other group of people who, for them, they really want to work in that way, and I'm just not even letting them. And like maybe that's not all right. Like, I think about some people I've worked with over the last little while, like lawyers who are like 3 months behind on their billing. And if I can get them caught up on all of their billing, what's that worth? Is that like a 50? Is that a $50 problem? Like no, like that's huge, and they want to solve it and they want to go all in. And like, who am I to say, sorry, I know this is a big thing in your business, but no, I can't do that. So I was worried about that. But what I realized was there's actually, like, for people who really have like the challenge that I'm solving, the benefits are amazing. They want to actually work in that level of transformation. And so what I was actually doing, it wasn't even, I thought of it very much about like price. Is it low ticket? Is it high ticket? That was where I was starting from. And then I started thinking about it more in terms of, hold on, there's this whole other group who wants to go all in. And in my heart of hearts, like, that's what I want to do as well. I want to be all in with everyone I work with. It fills us up in a whole other way.
So it sounds like there was a big difference between the way people were showing up on the low ticket side, sort of just wanting information, and then on the high ticket side, it was the people that really wanted to go deep and create transformation. And so, what was your experience like in terms of like who is showing up for one approach versus the other approach?
Yeah. That was a night and day difference. Because what I started noticing is that I actually started attracting, when I spoke about the problem in the seriousness that it was, I actually started attracting a different group of folks, people with higher levels of commitment. And because they have higher levels of commitment, they actually work and take the advice. We can actually get the results. And it also meant that I could set up, I had also the margins to set up exactly what they need. The sort of same journey that I wanted to go through when I first figured out that the thing that was holding back my own business was ADHD. I got to actually create that perfectly. And just like the reality is that if somebody is, they're months behind on their tax, or they're years behind on their taxes and months behind on their billing, like anyone who thinks like, oh, what is that in my life? Is that a $7 problem? Like anyone who thinks that that's a $7 problem, like anyone who thinks like, oh, my marriage is falling apart, I don't know, I'm not willing to spend more than $7 to fix it. Like, I realized those weren't necessary. And there's a lot of folks out there doing that bless them. I'll let them keep doing that. But what I really want to do is work with those people who are the hyper committed, who have this real thing. I also find it's easier to get results for those
Yeah.
people. That was one of the things that surprised me as well.
Yeah, and this is something that, like, I was concerned about, and the reason I bring it up is because when I first switched to the high ticket group model, I was concerned that maybe people wouldn't get as good of results as maybe they would of one-on-one. But we've been doing this for 12 years now. We've had 6,000 plus coaches and experts and therapists go through the program, and a lot of them made that switch from doing one-on-one to doing a group program. And I don't know anybody who ever switched back. Like, I can't think of a single person that said, hey, I'm going to go back to doing one-on-one because the group program just isn't getting people results. In fact, it's been the opposite, where people get people in the group program, and now those people are getting better outcomes even than one-on-one. And I think part of that is because in the group program, it's high ticket, so people show up committed, they really want to do the work. But even the fact that it's a group program, it creates this dynamic where, people don't feel so alone. It's like if I'm a business owner and I have ADHD and I sign up to work with you and it's just you and me, Ezra, really, you are like my only source of certainty, right? You're like my only frame of reference. But if I go into this group program and I show up for the Q&A call, and oh my God, there's 15 or 20 or 30, whatever people in there in the same boat as I am. Now, number one, I don't feel as alone. And number two, I can look at all the success that they're having and go like, oh my God, here's 30 people that are just like me, going through the same thing I'm going through. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me, and they're fixing the problem. And it's like, okay, great. Now all I have to do is follow the program. And I think that just creates a lot more, faith and certainty when people show up for the high ticket program. And this is something I wasn't expecting when I first started. And I was really, pleasantly surprised when we first started doing the high ticket group model. And that has continued to play out with everybody that we've worked with over the last 12 years who switched to this model.
Yeah. No, I would say I've seen that as well. It wasn't something I was necessarily anticipating, but it's absolutely proven to be true. That it's not so like I see other people in these spaces and like what can they say in terms of like client results, testimonials. They have little clips here and there of somebody saying I really enjoyed the program, and it's a whole different space to be like every week I have like a dozen people like in video saying to each other, saying like this thing changed my life, I got through my burnout's going through, I got through avoidance last week. And when you're just like when you're in a space like that, when you create that type of community of like business owners helping business owners, other serious people who they've decided, okay, I'm going to do something, and you see those things over and over and over again, that is actually key, in particularly for my group, of like so much of it's that shame of like we kind of feel alone, we kind of have that sense of like we're not following through with things, and it's so contrary to our identity. And to see over and over again of like, okay, it's not just this one guy who says it's possible, but I literally, like last week I heard 5 people tell me that worked. Literally, like this week I heard 6 people. I'm going to lean all in, I'm going to play full out, and like that's, yeah, so it really truly is. Also, there's a different level of results that people are getting when they get to be in that space that I wasn't really providing people.
I love that. So if you guys are watching this and you're an expert, you're a therapist, and you're in this sort of time for dollars model, I just want to emphasize that there is another way to do it, and that there's no trade-off. If you're worried that there's going to be some trade-off where you're getting good outcomes for your people now, and you could probably make more money if you switch to an online group program, but you're worried about the customer results or client results are going to go down the tubes, that's absolutely not going to happen. What you're going to find is that they get even better outcomes. So Ezra, I want to talk about the positioning of your offer, because I'm honestly, I kind of geek out and I'm quite proud of what we've done with your offer just from a marketing perspective, right? So if somebody comes to work with Clients on Demand and they have an offer that like saves someone's marriage, I would consider that to be a pretty easy, straightforward thing. Like, do you want to save your marriage or do you not? Okay, great. Let's get you signed up, right? From a marketing perspective, at least from where I'm sitting, that's not especially challenging to come up with the hooks, to come up with the angles, to come up with the marketing and the ads and everything to bring people into that kind of a program. That's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Your offer, from a marketing perspective, presented some kind of unique challenges, right? So number one, going after business owners is always a little bit tricky. Going after, your successful people is always a little bit tricky. And number two, the big temptation with your offer would have been to make the whole thing just about let's help you with your ADHD. But I think that what you did and what we did together that I think was very smart is that we didn't just make it about ADHD. We made it about what is that ADHD costing you in your business. And that goes back to what you said before, where you're like, this is not a $7 problem. If you are $500,000 in accounts receivable that you've just sort of forgotten to send those invoices out because you're stuck on other things, this has a real measurable, tangible cost. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I really feel like in your marketing and in your communication, we do a really good job of nailing down the real cost of this.
Yeah. And I would say that when I started working with COD, I had so many moments where something would happen. There would be something in the meeting. You'd help me set up something where I was just like, oh, that just paid for itself. Oh, that thing just paid for itself. So actually that positioning piece was one of those key things. When, the way I was originally thinking of positioning the offer. And then when I got to work with one of your copywriters who sort of suggested, like, well, hold on, like if somebody's going through rejection sensitivity and they're a doctor and they're literally not charging what their care plan is worth, like that's the real problem that you're fixing. That slight distinction, which I may not have come to. I mean, for everything, there's hundreds of little things. Like I keep having these moments over and over again of going like, oh, okay, well that just paid for itself. That just paid for itself. That paid for itself. Because it's true, and I would also say that it helps my clients get way better results of sort of that sort of framing. Because the truth is I get both of those things. It's something where we have such tangible business outcomes. If you are that doctor who is not fully presenting your care plan because you're dealing with rejection sensitivity, there's a quick financial recovery through that. But then also you get to be that person who does also get all of those other good, deeper things where you're not playing small and things like that. And I might not have considered those things without, I was just a little too close to the subject matter, but like literally those little distinctions over and over, little things that maybe I might need to, little things that I might put into the messaging, little tweaks in terms of the client position, all of those things. And like what didn't make sense for me is to try to figure all of that out on my own when I could instead just like operate in my zone of genius and like folks operate in yours, having that experience of seeing it over and over and over and over again. Yeah.
I love that because so many people do show up to different programs like ours and they have various levels of resistance, or various levels of coachability. I think part of the reason that you've just absolutely crushed it in our programs is because you showed up super coachable and just, we told you how to position this thing. You positioned it that way. It took off like a shot. And, honestly, man, you're just a joy to work with as a client, because you just implement so quickly. The joke that we have on the team is like, oh, Ezra's faking it. He doesn't even have ADHD because he just gets stuff done so fast. So it's absolutely awesome to work with you. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing on the ad side? So we made this distinction of like, okay, we don't want to make it just about ADHD for any old person. We want to make it about the successful person, the business owner who's got ADHD, and it's costing them in their business. But what you've done is you've now taken that kind of basic core idea and you make a lot of different ads and a lot of different creatives and a lot of different tiny little videos just attacking different sort of facets of that problem. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because that's one of the most interesting things I think you're doing.
Yeah. So it is true that one of the big distinctions I got with working with your team is actually that sort of like, okay, it's one thing to have an offer, it's one thing to know what to do when I speak to somebody. How do I get a lot of people to speak with me, and how do I address all of those different things? So one of the things that I do in the ads is I'm constantly looking for all sorts of different angles. It used to be the case, I think, years ago where I had some success where I could just have one angle. I just went on that over and over and over and over again. Now the algorithms are more sophisticated. But to be honest, like the real thing that changed for me was actually being part of an ecosystem where everyone is following a similar model. Because the
Mm.
thing that happens, sort of kind of a secret of a lot of my ads, is that I'm actually looking at and modeling, okay, well, how are other people with similar, like, what are they doing that's a little bit different? I like really like I'll take a look at somebody who has a marriage offer and think of like what's really going on there, and I can have that. And I'm not copying, obviously. If we copy that would be weird. But just actually what that is like to be part of it, like it's a whole other force multiplier to be part of a group of like, and also just seeing when there's little like, oh my God, when it comes to Facebook ads, some of these things change so quick, and sort of, if you're kind of in it, you're the frog boiling slowly, you might not notice. But when you're part of another group and you have all of these people all trying to solve the same problems, and you're interacting with each other, and you have experts who are sort of like have visibility of all of these things in so many different businesses, like, yeah, that's been key for me in a way that I think others might not fully be taken advantage of.
Well, that's the real power of being in a mastermind, right? Is you are the only person in the mastermind that has your particular offer. But you've got, Jamie, who works with the parents of a kind of at-risk teenage girls, and she works with the girls to help turn that situation around. You've got Becky, who helps these dyslexic kids go from reading in the bottom 10% of their class to the top 10% of their class in like 60 to 90 days. You've got Betsy, who's working with women to decide if they want to stay in their marriage or get out of their marriage. You've got other people in the program who are helping people save their marriage. You got people who are helping people get in the best shape of their lives or get into the best investment portfolios for them. So it's all different challenges, but what's unique or sorry, what's in common is the same models being run of driving people from social media into a presentation, into a high ticket group coaching program, and then nurturing them from there and ascending them into higher and higher masterminds. And when you have everybody, even though everyone's offers are different, the strategic piece is something that we all have in common. So now we can all go ahead and learn from each other, and people really learned from you at the last Millionaire Alliance event, where you were sharing some of your ad strategies and how you leverage the Blair Warren's One Sentence Persuasion course, which is one of my favorite books ever, into creating a lot of different content. And I think that was super cool. So what I really love about MA is that, yeah, I learned as much from you guys as you guys learned from us, all built on the same basic foundational strategy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and sort of that, surrounding yourself with folks like that. Even when I was working with you folks, and you helped me sort of define what that offer was, and that we created those first initial ads. Like, again, even just being part of a group that's could help me with those things. I had sort of a peer group to see if like I could. Everything felt very real. Everything felt very tangible, and it was just about like, cool. I got a checklist, and I'm going to knock these things off. And if I do what others do, I should be, and I refine where I need to make refinements. I should probably have the success that other folks have, and I think the other thing that really attracted me to working with you folks is something similar to what I say with my clients. Is we should probably take advice from people who have the things we want. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to take productivity advice from somebody who doesn't have ADHD. It doesn't make sense to take advice on business from somebody who doesn't have a successful business. And one of those things that really attracted me, and it turned out to be absolutely true in working with you folks, is that because you've done it for so many years, and just like there's so many examples of all of these success stories, that literally I think I literally just sort of had so many models, so many things of like, whenever I had any sort of period where I hesitated or felt down or got into it, I was like, okay, there's no reason that if I do exactly what other folks have done, that I shouldn't get exactly the same result.
Yeah, 100%. So talk about that a little bit. What are some of the biggest sort of lessons or discoveries that you've learned that have made a huge difference for you, that you would love to just kind of share with other people that maybe were in the similar boat that you were when you first came to us?
Yeah, sure. The biggest mindset shift, or sorry, the biggest shift that I actually made, the biggest distinction was mindset. I will 100% tell you that when I came in, and I was thinking, okay, cool, I just need strategy, 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 strategy. And my fundamental belief in life was that there's a lot of, and because I saw it out there, is I saw a lot of people who talk about mindset. Why do they talk about mindset? Because they don't actually have any strategy that works. So they just want you
Right.
just to focus on the mindset piece and just that. And I thought mindset was BS. And I recall that like one of the things that you shared with me early on is you shared your own sort of journey like of that, of sort of like having that belief of maybe seeing other folks in the market that didn't have that same integrity, and then also having those beliefs. And then I went, hold on a minute. These people have done it before. There's a reason why he said that. It's because like he knows that. So I'd say that the mindset piece was such a key piece for me that I wasn't expecting. That fundamentally, the thing that's going to limit the growth of our business is our mindset, is our nervous system's capacity to handle all of these things that are going on. I would say that distinction was key to me. Another distinction that was key to me was really leaning in to the idea that the problems that my audience faced are like if we want to get really serious about it and deliver hard truths, like they're really, really, really big problems. If you were the person who you've been thinking about the business and you've been putting it off because of your ADHD challenges for like 6 months, a year, you start putting it off your whole life, it starts impacting your relationships. That sort of like those high stakes problems are actually like, if you are an ethical, honest person, like that is the place that you want to be operating, assuming you can help those folks, then that's what we do. But if that's the case, then that's like I would actually say a big distinction I made is that is a more ethical approach to business than it is to a lot of the low ticket things of just people
Mm-hmm.
get some information, they go away. Did they enjoy it? Maybe. Did their whole life change? Not always. And so like, is that a more ethical way if somebody provides money but their whole life didn't change? Or is it actually more ethical to say, we got a big problem, I have a very specific thing, helping business owners, designed for business owners around ADHD, and when we go through those, if you do the work, you can get the result. Like those are bigger results than people have got before. And like those sort of high stakes problems are actually the things that sort of like juice me now and that
Mm-hmm.
get me excited in a way that I didn't always feel in the business before. So those are the two key things: mindset and the high stakes offers.
I love that. And it's funny because I'm the same way. And most of the people who come to work with us are the same way. They're like, my mindset's good. I don't need the mindset. I've read the books, I think positive, I whatever. And then it's like we push people outside their comfort zone. And then they're like, "Oh, can I have some mindset coaching?" You know what I mean? Because then they get scared. But it is funny because we don't really talk about that piece in our marketing for clients on demand very much, because I think that that's what people are going to assume. They think that this is just another like woo woo program where there is no strategy, and it's like no, this is like 80% strategy, but you got to have that 20% mindset piece so that you can execute the strategy. Because what's going to happen is we're going to tell you to do things like charge $8 or $9 or $10,000 for your program. And maybe that's way outside your comfort zone. You've never done that before. Or maybe, you have your first 50, 60, $100,000 a month, and that's outside your comfort zone. We have people freak out when they hit a certain revenue number in their business where they're just like, oh my God, no one in my family's ever made this much money before. And we have to then give them the mindset support to get through that, because, stuff comes up, imposter syndrome, feelings of unworthiness, or feeling like they don't deserve it, or, whatever it is. And it's all normal human stuff that happens when people begin to experience success on that level for the first time. But yeah, man, that mindset piece, that was one that when I first started this program, it wasn't in there. And it wasn't until I saw our clients going to implement the strategy, and they didn't get hung up on the strategy, they got hung up on their own fear. And that's when I realized, okay, we got to give people a lot of mindset support to get through this. And I really want to echo what you said about the ethics of it, right? Like, because it would be so easy for someone to say, hey, oh my God, you're charging $8,000 for this. That's crazy, right? But if that solves the problem, where it puts somebody beyond the need for your help, like that's my goal with all of our clients. I don't want to be in a situation where people are dependent on me for the rest of their lives. I want to put you guys to the point where it's like, oh, you know what? I've got it. It's self-sustaining. I don't need Russ anymore. Maybe I'll hang out, stay in the community, whatever. But I want your business to be running under its own power, where maybe we just have to do little tweaks every now and then, or continue to get it to grow to the next level and to the next level. I think people really need to understand that making a $27 impact on someone's life, or selling them an ebook, or selling them a video course, yeah, it's cheap. Yeah, it's going to be good information. Yeah, they're going to enjoy it, but they're probably going to watch the video. Actually, 80% of the time, they don't even watch the video course, right? Like, I think that's the stats. I think Tony Robbins years ago came out and said, that 80 something percent of the people who bought whatever his first DVD course was, Personal Power, didn't even open the package, right? Like, they never even watched it. So then, of the people that watch it, how many of them are actually going to put it into practice? And then, of the people that put it into practice, how many of them are actually going to get the result? And that's just a function of the price. It's information. It's not transformation. Even if it's really good information, it takes more than that. It takes handholding and mentoring and holding people accountable and guiding them through the problems that they're going to run into to really get them that incredible result on a consistent basis. So I'm so excited that that's what's happening in your program, Ezra. And I know that when we talk, you love to tell me about, hey, my client so-and-so did this, my client so-and-so did that. It's so cool because, we always say, like, I geek out on our clients' results, but I really geek out on our clients' results, because that's the measure of the impact that you're making in the world. So, hats off to you, man. I know you've got an incredible program and you're absolutely crushing it. Okay, last thing. If there's somebody out there that's thinking about working with clients on demand and they're not really sure and they're kind of on the fence, what would you say to them?
I would say to actually look at those results. Look at those results over years and years and years. That was one of the first thing I did. I kept thinking, like, why is it that I keep seeing all of these people who, if I really go back, I can see it, and they're running the exact same. They're running a very similar. It evolves, and you help us keep up to date as the market changes. And so, like, there has to be a reason for that. I would lean into that, and that when you're actually solving one of these high stakes problems, there are so many just like subtle distinctions where every little distinction, if a slight distinction in my positioning of nailing exactly what that high ticket offer is, if that means that I'm working with 10 more clients in my lifetime, well, that pays for itself. And realistically, it does more than that. If I make a slight subtle distinction in something around attracting clients and attracting leads, and if that result, like, there's so many just tiny little things that, maybe you could work on it your own and try to get little bits of it, but like, the fundamental thing is that, like, there's such a difference in working with experts, just like in anything in life. If I was to hire a tax strategist, I'm not hiring a tax strategist who's never done this before, because all of those little things, they all seem small, but like, if you do it right and if it's all systematic in an ecosystem, it all multiplies. And that's exactly what I found in working with clients on demand.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us today. You got an amazing program. We're going to put a link where people can find you in the description of this video. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this and you want to follow the same strategy that Ezra is following, go ahead and book a call to talk to us. We'll get into your business. We'll look at your offer. We'll look at the positioning. We'll look at your expertise and say, okay, great. This is the price you should be charging. This is how you should structure your offer. This is how you should install the client attraction system that we teach. And this is whether or not it can work for you. And if we feel like it can't work for you, believe me, we will tell you. That's our moral obligation. But if it can work for you, we're going to tell you that too. So click the link in the description of this video, book a call to speak to us. If you are a business owner and if you have ADHD and you feel like that ADHD is impacting your business, there is nobody better for you to be working with than Ezra. So we're going to put a link to Ezra's website down in the description of this video as well. Ezra, thanks again, man. You are awesome. You are a joy to work with. The whole team loves you. And I'm just so excited about what we've achieved so far. And I'm really excited about where we're going from here.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye.